All right, so haven't done a video here for a while, and folks, please support the channel. You can do so by subscribing to the channel. You can do so by supporting me over on Patreon. I've got a music channel, I've got this channel, and yet I have another channel. So please help me out. I don't know, maybe I need to just have two channels. It's too much work, and promoting any one person is a risky business. So I need to be able to talk about lots of things, and I go back and forth on that. So please have patience with me. So today I'm here and I want to talk about going to war with Ukraine. Holy crap, Batman. Why would we do this? And people wonder, you know, my conservative friends, why are you a libertarian? Aren't those people for legalizing all drugs? Some of them want to legalize some drugs, but that's beside the point, all right? And yeah, there are a few in the movement who probably feel that the drug war has been a disaster and that we could actually monitor and regulate these substances a hell of a lot better than, you know, the cartels can, right? Because that's what's happening. By the way, if you like to read really, really good books, okay, should have this guy come on my show here. Scott Horton. Enough already. Time to end the war on terrorism. Now, okay, so we're trying kind of to end that war. We're not going to fully end the war on terrorism, and I understand why. But I also understand that you pull out of one country, and now you need a new target. The Ukraine and Russia and Vladimir Putin, that would be a 50-year endeavor if we said, you know what, this is naked aggression by Putin. You know, here's the deal. I'm going to be very honest, and this comes from, and if you're America first, right, you're one of these America firsters out there, I'm America first. So why do we care about what's happening in Ukraine? If you live on Main Street, Podunk, USA, how is Ukraine and Russia going to affect you? Seriously, do we get a lot of exports from Ukraine? Is Ukraine vital to our economy here in the United States? And wouldn't it be incentive anyway if they were important? Wouldn't it be incentive for us to start making our own crap again? Okay, now I know a lot of libertarians want world free markets and they want to import and they want to trade, and that's fine. I think you can still have a moral compass when it comes to trade and diplomacy and all of those sorts of things, but that's off track. What scares the hell out of me is this country, okay? We've got medical tyranny in progress, ramping up all over the world. We have governors, we have the president, we have mayors like in New York City. De Blasio wants to come at everybody with a sharp, pointy object, okay? And this is going to be something that we have to have all hands on deck. Republicans talk a good game. They don't do anything. Democrats talk a horrible game, and they do stuff. We need libertarians, okay? This is the first moment in the last 2 or 3 years where I haven't been coerced to be libertarian, where people say, come on, just be a libertarian. You sound like a libertarian. I'm a libertarian, be one. I'm like, well, I don't know. And because people tell me that this is the best way, it's the best philosophy. I've heard this guy, Dave Smith, who's a comedian, who's also pretty sharp, out there saying, you know, we've got the greatest philosophy in the world. And maybe you do. Maybe they do. I don't know. I mean, I'm still part, I don't want to say, I don't have any real progressive tendencies other than I do want people not to fall through the cracks in this country. You know, the working class have been screwed. The libertarians have to go after working class voters and tell them why they need to vote for a libertarian. But here's a great instance where you would go out there and say the United States of America is spread too thin on so many levels, and our budgets are out of control. And we don't seem to have like any constraints. There's no red line we can cross when it comes to medical freedom, medical tyranny. There doesn't seem to be any number of people who don't agree physically with what's happening. In other words, they do what they're told to do, and then something happens to them. And so those people, no matter how many of them, it's approaching 1 million, by the way. It's approaching 1 million. And we just full steam ahead. This is what we do. CDC, FDA, Fauci, just full steam ahead. And most people are oblivious to that. Now, you're going to have the conservatives, right? And I love conservatives. I don't have a big problem with conservatives, other than the fact that they talk a good game and then they do nothing on many topics. And then when it comes to war, we need to defend our national interests. In the Ukraine, because Putin, and this goes back to the Russia hoax. This goes back to all of this. Putin is the worst man on planet Earth. I'm sure they'll be banning RT America very soon. I mean, how can you have the Russian propaganda beaming in? And I've watched the channel. The channel's great. I should watch it more, actually, because it's far more balanced than American news outlets. It's way better. Here's why I am doing this video on this platform today. People need to start thinking differently about Democrats and Republicans, because they're all out there saying we need to do something about Russia's naked aggression into the Ukraine. And I'm like, here we freaking go again. Here we go. And we're all, and the Republicans and the conservatives who love America, America rules, right? And we're going to sacrifice sons and daughters. We're going to sacrifice economic growth. We're going to just ramp up our love for military contractors and the military industrial complex. We're going to empower the Pentagon, the CIA. We're going to empower all these agencies even more. They're targeting mothers at school boards, and we're going to give these idiots more control and more power globally to conduct a never-ending, and I do mean never-ending, 50-year war with Russia and Ukraine. Essentially, we would be in the Ukraine fighting the Russians. Unfreaking real. And I honestly, based on how we're treating our military these days, we're also making the military do the thing in droves, and many of our military are going to leave and never come back. And good for them, because it's a corrupt institution anyway. Do we need a national defense? Of course. Of course we do. We should have a lean, mean national defense, well-funded to a degree, but not exponentially funded based on needless or endless wars or conflicts that our politicians and our media continue to drum up, promote, and gaslight with. Folks, I'm kind of done with Republicans and Democrats. I've been a registered independent now for many months, feeling good about that, but it might be time to make a bigger statement again, or try to. I was on the cusp before, but the Libertarians are right on this. They're right on this. And this is kind of like the follow the money saying, because pretty much you can go into any situation and say, well, you know, the doctors are getting a lot of money. Well, the hospitals, they're getting paid a lot of money. Well, the pharmaceutical companies are getting paid a lot of money. Well, the military industrial complex is an industry. It's a corporation unto itself. It's doing things that it's behaving like any other corporation. So the bottom line is important to them. We got out of Afghanistan, and the way we did it was a disaster. I was all for getting out. but you needed a plan. You don't leave Americans behind. I hear there are still Americans who can't get out of Afghanistan. Just like there are political prisoners being held in Washington, D.C. because they went to a rally on January 6th and some guy sat on Nancy Pelosi's desk. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, as much as right now I'm disconnected from Donald Trump, I am this is media propaganda. That was an insurrection, but sending troops to the Ukraine is not a reverse insurrection against the people who live here, who want this country to prosper. When are we going to seriously take care of our citizens? First, we'll use the language of the Trump movement, America first. It ain't America first, it's America last. We have become a laughingstock unto ourselves. Okay, because we can't get out of our own way to do anything for the people who live here because we are concerned and entangled. The founder said, don't get entangled. They use the word entangled in the foreign affairs of other countries. Do not. It is not a national security issue that Ukraine and Russia are having a conflict and that Putin may have his eyes on Ukraine. Okay? Is that a thing that we should care about? Are there things we could do without sending troops? Absolutely. You could condemn this globally. You could have other nations do the same thing. And by the way, if you want to do a kinetic war, have someone else do it. Somebody who's in the region, somebody who's closer, who could defend Ukraine. Why is it that America is the world's police force? Why? We don't have the ammunition anymore. We may have had it like 80 or 100 years ago. We don't have it anymore. We have stretched ourselves too thin, and with administration after administration of, yes, it's like we have this war fund and this war money that we play with, and we get to kind of, who do you want to go fight, Donald Trump? Hey, Biden, who's your enemy? You've got to look like you hate Russia, especially after that whole Russian hoax thing. We got to show people that we're still hating on Russia and Vladimir Putin. We want the entire region destabilized, and Russia is a superpower. Do we want, and people are talking about China too. Like, we're going to go over to China and start fighting. Shut up. Shut up. Will somebody listen, or is this just going to, it's never going to end. It's much like the pandemic. It's just never going to end. And we're going to sit here and we're just going to take it. We're not going to change course. We are going to keep voting uniparty. We're going to applaud Marjorie Taylor Greene because she says, oh, I'm really upset that we have political prisoners. Who's doing anything? Who's doing anything about it? There should be statesmen, politicians, left, right, center, I don't care who you are, getting up saying, no, this is America. We don't do this. There needs to be due process. But we're throwing, and see, this is the problem we have. Our domestic policies right now they've just run amok. We are running roughshod over every part of the United States Constitution right now. And people just smile and go, well, things change and we're a little different now. And we don't go by the letter of the law. Laws in some cases are good. In other cases, they need to be revoked, repealed, or reviewed. But my bottom line here is when I hear about we're ramping up interest and now we're starting to saber rattle both in the news media and obviously through Joe Biden's propaganda wing of his party. And Republicans are, oh, this is a great way. See, we'll unify the country we'll do it with war against this evil Vladimir Putin. This rhetoric, by the way, which has sank into the consciousness of many Americans since the whole Russia hoax, Donald Trump dossier thing, which did not happen, was not a thing. As I said at the time, Donald Trump was not smart enough to put that together. He just wasn't. It was Hillary Clinton who did that. This is why people who go against the narrative, it's Tulsi Gabbard, oh, she's a tool of the Russians. She's peddling Russian propaganda. Anybody, even Trump, when he first got in there, oh, he seems to like Vladimir Putin. Now that's completely out the window, right? Trump's probably going to cheerlead and say, yes, this is bad. Putin did this and it's bad. And we need to go into the Ukraine. We need to start moving troops in. And then the Donald Trump apology team will come in and say, you know, his advisors gave him lousy advice. Can't blame Trump. Just like on the whole vaccine thing, you can't blame Trump. He didn't know. He was just following advice. Yeah, that's why he's still out there as a salesperson over at Pfizer, right? This whole thing stinks, people. And we need to elect either pure libertarians or people who have maybe a different logo, probably Republicans, but maybe, I don't know, maybe independents. People in libertarians, this is a great opening because you guys are right. The more and more I sit back and watch this and I say to myself, you know, I have a lot of friends that are conservatives. I'd rather be conservative because it's just easier on a social level. And I am patriotic. I do like the country. Here's the problem, though. Our country sucks right now. It just sucks. And if you're thinking that Republicans are going to fix it, I just don't see how they're going to fix it. They're going to saber rattle. They're going to go along with it. It's remember the Gulf War. Remember the Iraq War. Remember Afghanistan. All of those things, you had agreement. You just had to be more persuasive with your debate on certain specifics of how you were going to go about doing this. But you had Democrats and Republicans. I remember you had John Kerry praising George Bush's rhetoric right after 9/11. You had him praising. Now he's like a lackey for Biden. He's got a lot of Botox, but he's still pretty much the same guy doing the same crap, running around the world. And he's got, what is he, climate czar or something? I think he wanted to be Secretary of State. That didn't work out for him. I watch this stuff and my head wants to blow up because we cannot sustain this. We are already in big economic trouble right now because we do not have an economy based on the free market. We have an economy right now based on government control. And as much as I would like to see the poor and the needy taken care of, the only way you're going to do that is through private personal charity where there's a human connection, not the government. The government is not human. The government is subhuman. The government is vermin, okay? And we continue to just sign on to the vermin. Yeah, vermin, tell me what I need to do. Tell me what I need to wear. Tell me what I need to put into my own body. And by the way, libertarians, for the most part, not like the Joe Jorgensen crowd or the guy who's running the organization, the LP.org, but libertarians have been far better on the tyranny, the medical tyranny, and all the other things attached to that, including the lockdowns and crazy rules and regulations. They've been far better because they understand all of this is unconstitutional. The only thing libertarians should probably do is talk about the Constitution a little bit more. They don't. They just generally speak, and sometimes they don't give specifics and details or any historical context. But that's some of that particular group. But I'll tell you what, they're far more engaged than Republicans for the most part. And, you know, we always have to worry that if we do elect some people, will they become corrupted? Will they become part of the Borg and just blend in with the Borg? And I'm praying to God that some of these people will hold the line and say, you know what? I know you like Matt Gaetz, but he's just a big talker. I know you pick a Republican politician you like, and you think to yourself, they're going to be great. And then they turn out to be part of the system after they might go in with good intentions, but they submit and then they cave in. The Libertarian Party could be the most rebellious force on the face of planet Earth if we can take the party over and organize it and make it into not a right-wing party, but just a bold wing party, a bold wing, a wing that does stuff, a wing that's involved and cares, but also not just like caring in this, fake compassionate way, but caring about individual rights and liberties and the ability for people to earn a living and to function in this weird, new, bold, brave 1984 world. So anyway, that's my rant on this. I watched a couple of news clips this morning and my head just blew up. I'm like, Ukraine? Seriously? Why? Why do we need to do this? And you've got Democrats and you got Republicans, the usual suspects. Mitt Romney, by the way, why does Mitt Romney need to be in the Senate? People in Utah, run a libertarian, run one and do like your, give, send, go, right? With the people of the state. And I will donate to whoever that is to get that MFer out of there. Because people like him, Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, and then obviously pretty much all the Democrats, all they do is warmonger. They hate Russia. They think Russia is, if we had tried to get along with Russia, like Trump said back in 2016, we actually tried to have a relationship with them and just show them that we're not hostile and we didn't have stuff in the media running 24/7 accusing Russia of doing things that they didn't do, we may have actually achieved a better relationship with them. And who knows, maybe they wouldn't be doing what they're doing right now. We don't know because we don't do those things. Instead, we instigate stuff, right? We antagonize people and that hasn't worked. It never works, but it works for the military contractors. It works for the pundits on TV, both left and right, who want endless war and don't want the American people to have what they deserve, which is a decent life, earning a decent living, not worrying about foreign entanglements 24/7, not being sucked into the vortex of this faux patriotism. You know what's patriotic? Doing well, having a great country that you live in that is free and mostly neutral and practices the non-aggression principle all the time. All the time. But we are light years from that place right now.